She watches you, not the way you think, not with admiration or longing. She watches the way someone studies an object they're considering discarding. You don't notice when it happens. The shift. One day she looked at you like you were rare. The next, like you were common. And somewhere between those two moments, you did something or stopped doing something. The difference doesn't matter. The result is the same. Value isn't what you think it is. It's not kindness or loyalty or how hard you work. Value is perceived scarcity. It's the feeling that you could walk away. That you might. That she's not entirely sure she has you. The moment she knows she does, completely and without question, something changes in her brain chemistry. The hunt ends. And when the hunt ends, so does the obsession. Here are 6 behaviors that kill that feeling, that make you common, that lower your value in her eyes faster than you can rebuild it. 1. You're always available. She texts. You respond immediately. Every time she calls, you answer. No matter what you're doing, you stop. You drop everything. Because that's what a good partner does, right? That's what love looks like. Except it isn't. Not to her subconscious. To her subconscious, you just signaled that nothing in your life is more important than her attention. That you have no purpose, no mission, no world that exists independently of her presence. Availability isn't love. It's abundance. And abundant things have no value. The restaurant with no wait time, the concert with empty seats, the man who always picks up the phone. These things signal the same message. Nobody else wants this. So why should I? She doesn't think this consciously. She wouldn't say it out loud. But her attraction doesn't operate on conscious thought. It operates on ancient biological programming that equates scarcity with value. The man who's busy, the man who sometimes doesn't text back for hours, the man whose time feels earned, not given. That man triggers something, a need to secure him, to lock him down, to make sure he doesn't slip away. You, always available, always ready, always waiting. You've already been secured. There's nothing left to chase. And humans, especially women, lose interest in what they've already caught. 2. You seek her approval for everything. What should I wear tonight? Is this okay? Do you think I should take that job? Should I go out with my friends or stay home with you? Every decision runs through her first. Every choice requires her blessing. You think this shows respect, partnership, consideration for her feelings, and maybe it does, but it also shows something else. That you don't trust your own judgment, that you need permission to exist in the world, that you're not the authority in your own life. She doesn't want to be your mother. She doesn't want to approve your outfit or validate your career moves or grant you freedom to see your friends. When you ask for these things, you're not being considerate. You're being weak. You're outsourcing your backbone to her nervous system. Women are attracted to men who move through the world with certainty, not arrogance. Not domination, but a quiet self-possession that says, I know what I'm doing. I've thought about this. I've made a decision. You're welcome to join me or not. Either way, I'm moving forward. That energy, that self-directed momentum creates attraction. The opposite creates caretaking, mothering. A kind of affectionate contempt that masquerades as love, but slowly, steadily kills desire. 3. You never disagree with her. She says something. You nod. She wants something. You comply. She's upset about something. You apologize, even when you've done nothing wrong. Anything to keep the peace. Anything to avoid conflict. Anything to make sure she's happy. Conflict avoidance feels like maturity. It feels like choosing the relationship over your ego, but it's not. It's choosing comfort over respect, and she can feel the difference. When you never push back, never challenge, never stand your ground on anything that matters, you become invisible. Not as a person, but as a man. You become a mirror that reflects whatever she wants to see. And mirrors don't create attraction. They create boredom. Women need friction, not constant fighting, not petty arguments over nothing, but the knowledge that you have boundaries, that there's a line she can't cross, that you're capable of saying no, even to her, when something violates your values or needs. The man who always agrees is the man who has no core, no center, no self that exists independently of her approval. And that man, no matter how nice, no matter how accommodating, will never hold her respect for long. Desire requires mystery. It requires the feeling that you're still discovering someone, that they're not fully known, not completely controlled. When you agree with everything, you eliminate that mystery. You become predictable, safe, and safety in the realm of attraction is death. 4. You compliment her constantly. You're so beautiful. You're amazing. I'm so lucky to have you. You tell her every day, multiple times a day, because you want her to feel valued, because you think that's what she needs to hear. And maybe she does need to hear it, occasionally, when it's true, when it's earned, when it comes from genuine appreciation, not desperate validation seeking. But when you say it constantly, it loses meaning. Words become inflation. The more you print, the less each unit is worth. Compliments that flow endlessly, unprompted, unearned, they don't make her feel special. They make her feel like you're trying to convince yourself, or worse, trying to keep her from leaving. Men who are certain of their value don't over-compliment. They don't need to. They know she's lucky to be with them, just as they're lucky to be with her. It's an equal exchange, a balanced equation, not a constant sales pitch from the less valuable party trying to justify why the more valuable party should stay. She knows she's beautiful. She has mirrors. She has Instagram. She has 1,000 men in her DMs telling her exactly that. Your voice, added to that chorus, is just noise. What she doesn't have is a man who's indifferent to her beauty, a man who sees it, acknowledges it, but isn't controlled by it. A man who doesn't need her to know he thinks she's attractive because he's secure enough in his own value to not require her validation of his taste. That restraint, that selectivity in praise makes your occasional compliment land with force. But constant praise, that just sounds like begging. 5. You have no life outside of her. Your friends stopped calling because you always said no. Your hobbies disappeared because you spent all your free time with her. Your goals got smaller because you made her happiness your only mission. You merged completely. You dissolved your individual identity into the relationship, and she let you. At first, maybe she even encouraged it. Maybe she said she loved how much you prioritized her, how present you were, how focused. But now something's changed. She's pulling back, creating distance, spending more time with her friends, finding excuses to be busy when you're free. And you're confused because you did everything right. You gave her everything she said she wanted. Except you didn't. You gave her everything her words said, not what her biology needed. And her biology needed you to have your own world, your own purpose, your own obsessions that had nothing to do with her. Because the man who loses himself in a woman becomes invisible, he becomes an accessory, a background character in her life story. Women don't respect men who orbit them. They respect men who have gravity of their own, men whose lives are so full, so purposeful, so compelling that being included feels like a privilege, not because he's withholding, but because his time is genuinely scarce, genuinely valuable, genuinely in demand. When you make her your whole world, you stop being interesting. You stop being mysterious. You stop being the man she chose. You become the man who had nowhere else to go. 6. You're apologizing for things that aren't your fault. She's upset. You apologize. She had a bad day. You apologize. She's stressed about work, tired from lack of sleep, frustrated with her mother. You apologize. Not because you caused any of it, but because you think that's what fixes things. That's what makes her feel better. That's what good partners do. But it doesn't fix anything. It just trains her to see you as responsible for her emotional state, as the source of her problems, or at least as the person whose job it is to absorb her discomfort and make it go away. This is not support. This is not emotional availability. This is emotional labor that you're volunteering for that she never asked you to perform. And it's making you smaller in her eyes with every unnecessary apology. Men who take responsibility for everything become men who are blamed for everything. Because if you're always apologizing, always absorbing, always trying to fix her mood regardless of what caused it, you're teaching her that her feelings are your responsibility. And when her feelings are your responsibility, you become the problem when she's unhappy, even when you're not. Strong men, valuable men, men who hold their frame, they don't apologize unless they've actually done something wrong. They can be present without being guilty. They can be supportive without being submissive. They can acknowledge her pain without accepting blame for it. And that boundary, that refusal to take on false responsibility, creates respect. It shows that you have a clear sense of what's yours to own and what isn't. That you're not desperately scrambling to please her at the cost of your own dignity. That you're capable of standing still while she processes her emotions without needing to make yourself the villain or the savior. She doesn't need you to fix everything. She needs you to be solid while she works through things. The difference is everything. These 6 behaviors, they all have something in common. They all come from the same place. The belief that your value is determined by how much you give, how available you are, how accommodating, how selfless. How much you sacrifice your needs, your boundaries, your world for hers. But value doesn't work that way. Not in her eyes, not in anyone's. Value is scarcity. It's the sense that you could walk away. Not that you will, not that you want to, but that you could. That you have options, that you have a life, that you have standards, that there's a version of you that exists independently of her approval. The moment she knows she has you completely, the moment she's certain you'll never leave, never challenge, never prioritize yourself, that's the moment she starts looking past you. Not consciously, not with malice, but with the same biological programming that makes humans crave what's rare and dismiss what's common. You can't negotiate attraction. You can't earn it through good behavior. You can't logic someone into wanting you by proving how much you care. Attraction is a response to perceived value, and perceived value comes from scarcity, from boundaries, from a life that feels full without her, not empty, waiting to be filled. She doesn't tell you this because she doesn't fully know it herself. But her body knows, her instincts know, and they respond accordingly. Stop being always available. Stop seeking approval. Stop avoiding conflict. Stop over-complimenting. Stop dissolving yourself. Stop apologizing for things you didn't do. Not because you're trying to manipulate her, but because those behaviors make you smaller, less yourself, less the man she was attracted to in the first place. Value isn't about games. It's about self-possession, about moving through the world as someone who knows what they want and isn't afraid to claim it, even if what you want sometimes conflicts with what she wants, even if it creates tension, even if it risks disapproval. The man who's terrified of losing her has already lost her, because that terror shows up in every interaction, every apology, every moment of constant availability, every decision outsourced to her judgment. The man who knows his value, who lives from his center, who's willing to walk away if necessary, that man creates attraction. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because he actually is hard to get. Because his time, his attention, his life has weight, has meaning, has value that exists whether she sees it or not. She's watching, still, always, deciding, consciously or not, whether you're rare or common, whether you're something worth holding on to or something she's already secured. Your behaviors answer that question for her every day, in 1,000 small ways. The question is whether you're aware of what you're signaling and whether you're willing to change it before she stops watching altogether.